You can't have justice unless everyone has equal access to justice. I've worked with victims and survivors of domestic violence, of sexual assault. I've worked with people who are going to lose their homes. Those experiences drove home for me the importance of having access to legal advice, legal counsel.
Lawyers are expensive. Most people can't afford one. And in a civil situation, they're not entitled to one. Unfortunately, 3/4 of the time, these people who need lawyers are not able to get them. We're really very much dependent on the pro bono community and legal aid groups to fill that gap.
You know, as a trial judge, it was very frustrating to have individuals appear wanting to resolve some of their legal issues, and yet there wasn't somebody there who could just explain how to fill out the form, how to draft a proposed order, or even to give me the evidence that I need to resolve a question.
So many of our homeless people in Seattle and elsewhere in King County lost housing for a variety of reasons, and many times as a legal issue that they didn't have representation for, and they were evicted and they find themselves on the street. A number of people don't understand or don't know they may be entitled to certain disability benefits, they may be entitled to veterans benefits, they may be entitled to food stamps, they may be entitled to an earned income tax credit. And often lawyers are the key to helping people discover what benefits they might have. If that issue can be resolved, they can move on and they can focus on their children, they can focus on their jobs, they can focus on living productive lives.
When you're feeling disconnected because you can't access something as simple as healthcare or employment benefits, it affects all of us in the sense of that individual becomes isolated, that individual really doesn't have access to simple justice and to simple services that they're entitled to have.
My name is Tara Simmons, and I'm a third-year law student at Seattle University. I was born into a family that was broken, and both of my parents suffered with drug addiction and alcoholism. I left home at 13 years old, and when I was 14, I got pregnant. In 2010, I was suffering with grief and loss after my father passed away. Family members started coming around who were drug users and introduced me to methamphetamines. After I first tried it, I used for 10 months, almost every single day. And during that time, I was arrested 3 times. On the 3rd time I was arrested, I was sentenced to 30 months in prison. While I was in prison, my husband filed for divorce. The Department of Health sought to take my nursing license. My house went into foreclosure. I was crippled with all kinds of debt, legal financial obligations from the court, and also consumer debt because everything that I had before I went to prison went into collections. Civil legal aid really saved my life. There's no way I would have been able to overcome all of these legal issues and piece my life back together without the help of civil legal aid lawyers. They've supported me and mentored me when I really had no hope. And so civil legal aid lawyers to me are kind of like angels.
We really cannot succeed as companies if the communities in which we're based are not doing well.
It's something that governments ought to invest in, which is to say we as taxpayers ought to be investing in it. But the fact of the matter is that public funding is uncertain. It's not always reliable. That's why private funding is so important, private funding that goes to the endowment.
If we don't have the time or the inclination or the skill set to represent people pro bono, I think we have to be advocates for the legal aid system. And I think we have to write checks to support a healthy legal aid system.
The right lawyer at the right time can make all the difference in the world for somebody. It can literally change the trajectory of their life.
Without generous supporters like you, I definitely would not be here today.